Right, guys, let's get real for a second. I'm gonna lay out exactly what Sanrio Time Net is first, so that hopefully you understand my approach here. We've seen plenty of times throughout the existence of this channel that the Game Boy chronology can throw up some challenging reviews for yours truly, namely when I'm faced with trying to review Japanese language games, especially text-heavy RPGs. Now, after a fashion, I can speak a little Japanese. My reading comprehension leaves a lot to be desired, but you know, reviewing tens, if not hundreds of JP exclusive titles does at least let you practice. My reading is perhaps on the level of like a 5-year-old, if that, but it's been enough to get me through some of these obviously child-focused video games like Maruko and Crayon Shin-chan, that sort of thing. In that same vein, you may not recognize the word Sanrio, but I bet you've heard of Hello Kitty. Well, that lovable mascot is the main figurehead of what is more broadly called the Sanrio universe, which actually comprises of many more characters that didn't manage to break free of the pre-teen girl shackles and leave Japan. This is, to put it in simplistic terms, a Pokémon-styled RPG based in that very universe where the two cartridges here, Kakohen and Miraihen, relate to Past Edition and Future Edition. I'll sum up the story for you if you give a toss. Your protagonist gets this email from some old geezer asking you to save the world of Time Net, which is in danger of disappearing. Apparently, the pillar of time that controls the world of Time Net has been broken by something or someone, and the world has been split into two parts, future and past. Your job is to collect the scattered fragments of time, repair said pillar, and defeat the culprit responsible. It all sounds decent when you put it like that, but if I'm being completely honest, and based on those sacred YouTube analytics for similar games like this, these reviews take more time and effort than average and do way less numbers than average, i.e. I put in more work, but fewer people than normal give a shit about it, and rightly so. So today, that ain't happening. I'm gonna play the game for as long as I can stomach it, translate what I can be bothered to, and see how far we get. An RPG clearly aimed at kids can't be that hard to intuit, you'll just have to do without a lot of the context. I'd also like to try, but will probably fail, to get through this without the obvious Pokemon comparisons as much as possible, but they are so numerous that might be tricky. It's one of the more blatant clones out there. You capture monsters, enslave them in your possession, and train and battle them. It can be compared to Pokemon in idea only, as straight from the off you can see that Sanrio Time Net has little of the care and attention that those games have had put into them. I mean, just look at it. The tile work is completely basic, the character portraits for the various monsters look very uninspired. The music is quite good actually, which at least gives me something to compliment about the whole thing. Monsters will have one of 14 different element typings. There are the common ones like fire, water, wind or whatever that should be somewhat self-explanatory, but then there are some others that are a lot harder to associate with particular weaknesses such as laser, bomb and heat. In a similar way to how I often get ghost and dark Pokemon mixed up, heat and fire are different types here, the separation of which seems fairly arbitrary. You most likely won't care enough to learn them in this game. It's hard to get excited about a monster that looks like a microwave oven or a chef. This typing advantage and disadvantage has been overcomplicated as well. In Pokemon, a move can be super effective, neutral, not very effective, and does nothing. Having 4 outcomes like this just works, and there's no real reason to over-egg the pudding, as it were. However, here we have 6 different outcomes. Attacks can do 1.5 times or 2 times damage, or 0.5 or 0.75 times, but it's not clear from the text exactly what is what. A 1.5 times or a 2 times effective attack both have positive text such as you hit a weak spot, but how to work out which is stronger is anyone's guess. Honestly, I'm not convinced it really matters, as the battle system is too unbalanced and not well thought out enough anyway for anyone to care that much. Another odd reduction here is that skills can be freely attached and removed from any monster regardless of typing, which completely erases the individuality from them, and you can simply override a type weakness by giving them on a different skill set. Even walking around the world feels totally all over the place. Moving to a new area can often result in a massive jump up in wild monster or NPC levels. Where you might have been up against level 10s, you could all of a sudden be fighting level 20s without any real warning, and you'll just get wiped out. It can happen by simply wandering the wrong way. The game isn't locked off in a logical order like you'd expect. This is none more true than with the final boss. Before this, the highest level you'll fight is around 40 odd, but then the final battle sees you go up against level 99, which is way too high of a jump and demands far too much grinding to get there. Granted, I didn't get that far myself, and I never will. Levels are way too large for how fast your character moves. You can get a bike later on, but before that, it's painful, and this is further compounded by the ridiculously high encounter rate. By the time you get where you're going, chances are you'll have forgotten the direction you intended and will have to turn around. It's not one of those tall grass things where encounters only happen on specific tiles. You can get sprung on anywhere. Not only that, but monsters can appear in towns, which are supposed to be safe areas. Yeah, getting around in this game is an absolutely miserable experience. The attachment of the Sanrio name to this title is a really weird one, and it's not dissimilar to what we saw on the Game Boy with the falling block puzzler Sanrio Carnival. For what should be a sugary, sweet, cute-as-you-can-stomach cartoon-based affair, Sanrio Time Net is so ugly. The design looks so rushed, and that's the overwhelming feeling you get playing the game. It's clear that it was forced out the door with not nearly the amount of care and attention it should have had. Not only is it too ugly for Sanrio, but the tone is totally off as well. NPCs feel angry and aggressive a lot of the time, which doesn't sit well with a game in the universe that gave us Hello Kitty. For something aimed at younger kids, I can't see how this appeals at all. Yeah, I think I'm justified in not fully translating this game. It definitely isn't worth the effort. The name itself will more than likely discourage people from clicking on this video, and I can't say they'd be wrong to do so. Bloody awful.